Hello and welcome to the Sias du Plessis show. Thank you very much to everyone that has liked and subscribed. A big shout out to our partners at Betway. You can win 2 tickets to watch the 4-time world champions. Yes, that has a nice ring to it. The Springboks in action against either Ireland or the All Blacks later this year. 2 tickets up for grabs. All you have to do, like and subscribe and comment on your favorite episode, and you could win those 2 tickets. So thanks to Betway. Check out betway.co.za also for more information. Well, it is one of those days where we talk cricket, and I'm thrilled to have our next guest in studio, Dwaine Pretorius. 3 tests. I forgot that you played 3 test matches for South Africa, and you were telling me just before this, you actually love the red ball stuff.
Yeah, red ball cricket was always one of my favorite sport formats growing up. Really, really enjoyed it. Yeah, and was really fortunate to get 3 tests. Obviously, I think as a cricketer, you always grow up, especially when we grew up. Test cricket was the pinnacle, watching the Ashes and all that type of things. Yeah, was awesome. Really great experience. And it was against England, so yeah, proper experience. Massive wake-up call. But yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it.
You've obviously put on the green and gold a couple times in your career, but putting on the white, that crisp white test shirt, and then the jersey if it's in England or wherever it is and gets chilly, it's a different feeling, right?
Definitely. It's a really special feeling.
Yeah.
Firstly, playing for the Lions in red ball cricket was a great achievement for me, and then actually getting to the top pinnacle of international cricket was really one of those special moments. And then obviously getting your green baggie and then putting on the white stuff with your test number on there. No, it was a really, really special moment for me. And I think my little boy was like 1 or very, very, very small. So at least he got to see that as well. So that was really cool, and it's a memory that I'll probably remember for the rest of my life.
Are you a memorabilia type guy? Do you have the famous green cap in your pub, or is it framed somewhere with your
Not yet.
Okay.
I do have a few things, but I don't want to put them up yet because my career is still not finished.
Sure.
And as soon as I'm finished, I've got this little box where everything that I've won, like trophies and teams that have signed shirts and whatever it is, and then I'll open that box one day and just like reminisce a bit on all the great opportunities that I've had.
I mean, I know you've called time on your international career. You are recovering at the moment from injury. How is the body, or is it? How are you feeling at the moment, and what's next for you?
No, I mean the last 3 or 4 years have been quite hectic, especially on the body in terms of cricket. I think last year I spent maybe 7 weeks at home.
Wow.
Just traveling all over the world and playing a lot of cricket. So I've actually been looking for an opportunity to take a bit of time off and see if we can get the body into a state where it can handle the next 3 or 4 years of cricket. So yeah, I'm actually very fortunate that I've got that gap now and to build it up. And because I mean, when you're playing and you're touring with the Proteas or you're playing T20 cricket all around the world, there's no real off season, so there's no time to build up your body, and that is one of the biggest things that I think is changing in cricket at the moment. Is like just that constant amount of cricket that you have to play to stay relevant. So having a bit of a break is a good thing, and I'm looking forward to see what the next few years hold.
It's interesting. You make a very good point about being relevant and playing the tournaments. I know CPL you played in America, you played. IPL, you name it, Dwaine Pretorius has played pretty much in that format. With that sort of pressure that you get of having to be at these tournaments and perform at the tournaments, I think the mental toll, not just the physical toll, it can be like quite a hectic workload, and you're doing it both. You're doing bats and ball. Although I don't know why you would bowl in T20 cricket, to be fair. The IPL has been insane. But I imagine that there's never really an opportunity to completely switch off. And it might be that you switch off when you're traveling to the next game or literally after the game for a couple hours. But especially with the intensity in the T20 cricket at the moment, I feel like you have to be switched on all the time. Is that fair to say?
I think initially if you're young and you start off, you probably feel like you always have to be switched on. I think I learned a few lessons that it's also not great if that is where you are the whole time. I think it's really cool and you get it in business quite a bit, or like franchises, they've got like this booklet and you give this booklet and someone can actually go replicate what their business model is. And if you can actually do that for your cricket career and have that little booklet you go to and say, okay, well, this is the check boxes I need to check off before a game starts, it makes it easier to switch off, switch on, because you've got those little buttons you push and, okay, now I'm in game mode. Okay, game's done now, switch off, build up to the next game. Okay, go through those check boxes again. And I think it's really important, especially if players want to like go at it in T20 cricket, to have like that little bit of a checkbox system, if you want to call it that. And I've really found like that's really helped me to like switch off between games. But yeah, it is interesting. Doing the circuit like I've done it is really interesting. I've never been like a Quinton de Kock or A.B. de Villiers. I think the mental pressures doing it the way that I necessarily do it, being like a very good player, but not your ultra talented guys, the more hard workers and the reliable guys, the consistent guys. Mentally, it's really challenging, but it does really prepare you for what's after cricket and after life. I think it's really, really important to be mentally strong if you want to go at it in the route.
Tell me about that little tick box exercise that you have. Obviously, you've learned that over time. When you started your career, I mean, and you've been a loyal servant to South African cricket, not just domestically but internationally too. But when you started off, what would you, today's Dwaine Pretorius, have told that young kid starting out, forging his way, grafting his way, earning his places in teams? Because like you said, you have these naturally gifted guys that don't really, it seems like they don't have to graft to get the results. Whereas other players, you feel that they have to graft to get that. You draw your battle lines, you've got your game plan, you keep your line in length and you nick them off, you trap them, but whatever it may be. The batting, you come in your finisher or whatever it may be. What would you have told your sort of self, what you know now? Because obviously hindsight is 2020.
Yeah. Well, there's a few aspects to that question. But if I had to chat to myself 12 years ago, I would first of all, there's two things that have been really like fundamental in the shifts that I've made in my career. Obviously, networks are really important. People that really believe in you, they make a real difference. And then one other thing is like, I went through a tough patch when it came to international cricket where I think I went through 3 coach changes while I was there.
Yeah.
And because of the nature of the player that I am, earning my way into teams, I needed to earn the trust of every new coach that appeared there. And the most fundamental thing that I realized there is like, at the end of the day, if a captain or a coach wants you in their team, you will be in their team. But I also realized, and this is where Mark Boucher changed my whole perspective on cricket and my career. We had this, it's actually quite profound. I can remember it like it happened yesterday. We played a warm-up match leading into the 2021 World Cup. And he came to me and he said, listen, you don't have to be a KG or a Heinrich. You don't have to be the fire. We've got the fire. That's those guys' job. We need the water. You can be the water to our attack, and the bowling attack is like a team. You can't be like those guys. First of all, you bowl 130, 125. But there is a job for you to do. But you can be like a completely different version in a bowling attack, which people don't necessarily expect. Like you look at the international team and you look at the international bowling lineup, you probably have 4 guys bowling 140 and you got 1 good spinner. So what it's like, again, like business, like creating a niche for yourself. Like I then realized, what Bouch is actually telling me here is there's a space for the things I bring to the table. Be the best at that. Don't try and be a Heinrich. Don't try and be a KG. Be the best at this. And if the coach then wants that skill set or niche in his team, you probably be in the team. If he doesn't want to and he wants 4 guys bowling 140 and 1 spinner, there's no personal thing.
Yeah.
It's he doesn't want that. Again, like a chef making a burger. If he wants to use mayo instead of chutney, there's nothing against chutney. He just maybe doesn't like it. He doesn't want it in his burger. It doesn't make the best burger in his mindset. And as soon as I took all that pressure off myself in terms of I'm not good enough and taking it away from me, it's just like putting it on the coach, putting it on the selectors and like saying, okay, well, if you want me, I'm going to be the best at what I can do.
Yeah.
I'm here and I'm ready. If you want me, great. If you don't want me, that's fine. It doesn't necessarily have any reflection on me. And I think as a sportsman, that is one of the things we really struggle with quite a bit. But as soon as I realized that you know what, it's not a personal thing. It's a coach-captain thing. What do they want in the team? And then it made it much easier for me to deal with, like sitting on the side, carrying drinks, because my skill set is not required at this moment. And yeah, it took all that pressure off me, and it like made a huge difference in my career going forward.
Like you said, that's very profound. I think as soon as you made that mindset change, it probably gave you freedom to express yourself when you did get opportunities.
100%. So people will come to me and say, okay, well, why are you bowling the wide line? Or that's something that actually became one of my strengths.
Yeah.
It's something I never did. But before that, I would bowl top of off, wicket to wicket, be aggressive. Bowling 130 in T20 cricket, and conditions are mostly ridiculously good for batters.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, what can make me more effective? And again, like finding the ways that can make you effective in doing a job for the team. And I mean, when me and Boucher, we spoke about it, we took a lot of inspiration from the box. I think 2019 World Cup, everyone was criticizing their game plan. If I can remember correctly, the guys kicked a lot. Was it 2019? Could have been 2018. I don't know, the one we won before this.
Yeah,
one.
19, that's right.
Yeah, so Faf was kicking a lot. I think Pollard at that stage was kicking a lot. And we were kicking up and unders where most of those guys, if they play for their franchise teams, they're actually quite aggressive. They attack, they run, they're attacking the gain line every time. But in that World Cup, we didn't. It wasn't about the player or his ego or how good he can be. Can he be RB Player of the Year or whatever it is? It's about, okay, what's the best for the team?
Yeah.
And as soon as we started shifting that mindset within our whole setup in our whole team, we actually became really, really strong team, because we actually shifted away from what's good for me, what's good for the team. And then whenever I came into bowl, no one asked, okay, why is Dwaine in the team? No one asked, why is Dwaine bowling wide? He's doing this for the team because that's what he can do the best. If Anna came in there and he bowled rockets, the guys' heads, no one questioned that game plan, because we knew it's all about the team. And is this taking us closer to winning or further away from winning? And then, it made a huge change. I mean, I became the death bowler leading into the World Cup. Never even thought of me as a death bowler. I was shocked when it happened. But again, like not putting that pressure on me about now I need to be someone different. What can I do? Well, coach and captain, they want me to do this scenario. I'm going to do what I do. If you don't want me to do that, then just get someone else to fill that role. And then, it took a lot of pressure off me. And that is one thing I wish I knew when I was starting off. But I must say I had a really, really good mentor starting with the Lions. It was Gordon Parsons, and he really, without me really knowing it, actually told me the same thing, but not in the same words. And at that moment, it wasn't as profound. And then one last thing that I would tell my younger self is when you treating people in your circle, treat them with respect as much as possible. Yes, you might be upset not playing in a team, but whatever you say, you can never take back, and your reputation goes with you all the way.
Yeah.
You might get away with it maybe the first 3 or 4 seasons of your career because you're a youngster and you're talented. But at the end of the day, if you're an idiot and you act like an idiot, people will remember that and they will wait for you to fail, and then they'll come back and it'll bite you.
Yeah.
And too many of my friends, I've seen this scenario happen. And some people are good enough and they can keep playing and doing what they do, but it doesn't necessarily mean you as a player need to act that way.
Yeah.
But just being a good guy is one of the most important things for me when it comes to my younger self. And that's 2 or 3 lessons I remember distinctly where really disappointed thinking about it back now. I missed out on like this one T20 game, and I think Enoch was my coach back then, and I came in there and said, well, why am I not playing? Like, cheapest, man. I'm like, you're putting my international career at risk here, all that type of things. And thinking back, he could have easily like held that against me for the next 4 or 5 years. And kudos to him as a person, he didn't. He understood where I came from. But it takes a bit of a lesser person. Now he's director of cricket. Yeah. You don't know which person in your life that you treat badly will keep a grudge and hold that. And wherever it is, close the doors for you. So it's really, really important. Like those if you have to shout at the wall back home and you are so upset and you go crazy and you break stuff, do that. But when you're in the environment, look after that environment, because you don't know who's the next guy opening the door for you.
So then I take it, being dismissed, going back to the change room, you're obviously fuming, right? Because whatever the situation, no one likes to get out, let's be honest. But there are guys that throw bats and helmets and kick shoes and stuff.
Yeah.
And I just think, like, you don't strike me as that type of person.
No, and I don't think I'm the throw type, and I'm definitely like the odd swear word type and the shout type. And I do really get upset with myself a lot. Because most of the times in cricket, it's probably self-inflicted, maybe made a bad decision here or there. But also understanding the game of cricket, maybe this is another thing that I'll tell myself when I was younger, like the game goes up and down. Again, like Gordon always told me this, and it's something I held dearly, and now that I realize it's actually the same thing that he told me. Like he said, not every day is fishing day, but what you can control is what you do and where you put the ball and how you bowl.
Yeah.
And one day, you're going to bowl badly and you're going to get all the rewards, and one day you're going to bowl the best you've ever bowled and get no rewards. That is the ebbs and flows of cricket.
Yeah.
And trying to be perfect and trying to be, well, you get players that can do that, like a AB or a Stephen Smith or a Quinton de Kock, where guys just go out and they just pump out runs. But not everyone can do that.
Yeah.
And being okay with that, and not chasing that, and that pressure of expectation is a killer.
Oh man, and I imagine it's easy to go to a default setting of internalizing all that pressure. You know what I mean? Because especially at the highest level, and I mean, look at the teams you've played for here. The CV, I'm going to need like 4 pages, but like there's all these different teams, you know. It's well done. It's amazing,
thanks.
you know.
Appreciate it.
But I look, 27 ODIs, 30 T20 internationals, that is the pinnacle. I know we've talked about your 3 test matches, but in the white ball format at the moment, it seems to be this laser focus from the South African public, right? And we know how talented our cricketers are. And yes, the Proteas haven't been able to get over the line. That's a conversation for another day. But I kind of feel in the white ball space, there's this hyper focus because there's just so many more eyeballs on it. And as a result of that, you feel that pressure. The moment you step on, sing the national anthem, eyes of the whole nation. And cricket has a weird way. I know the Box have the similar thing, but they've gone on to win World Cup, so they've kind of slid. But just a couple of years ago, they were nowhere, and everyone hated the Box. So what I'm trying to get at is you must feel that responsibility each time you wear that green and gold jumper or put on the baggy green cap, And as a result of that, I suppose that the default setting is to go, shit, I've got to perform. Somehow I've got to perform. And I think that mental toughness that you touched on earlier is such a key element to any successful cricketer in what they do, because not every day is going to be your day.
Yes, it is probably one of the toughest things, but personally, the only way I've been able to deal with all that pressure that comes with it, and then you have to understand So in an international team, you get probably 2 or 3 different types of players. You get the guys that are first names down on the list. And secondly, you get the guys that get a bit of a run. And then you get the guys that they're on the fringe. So they're always like, it's always between them and someone else. So that brings a different pressure to it. So you add all those aspects you put in there, and you add that in there. And ultimately, cheapest. If you think of all that, it could weigh you down super heavily.
Absolutely.
So the only way I could deal with it is like act if it's not really necessarily there, and like maybe like bullshit myself a bit and say, well, at the end of the day, one thing stays true. If I do what I can, my odds of performing well on the day is the best.
Yeah.
If I try and be an Anrich and I bounce the guys, they're going to be smoking me.
Sure.
But if I do what I do, my odds of being successful is the best.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing you can do in cricket. It's like literally playing roulette. You do not know which day is going to be your day. You wake up and you feel like the worst you've ever felt. You have the best day out. You feel like
all in the hand is coming out
unbelievable. And all of a sudden, what has just happened? Like you're going at 2 or 3 runs and over, you're picking up wickets for fun, and you don't know how this has happened. Then you try and replicate that, and then pressure of expectation because you just performed well. Now you put that pressure. I need to do that again.
Yeah.
And I just resetting every time, having that checklist. And one of those boxes is reset.
Yeah.
Today's a new game. Today's a new day. Take away any any expectations you have on the day. Do these things, and the chances of you doing well is going to be good. Because I mean, one thing about rugby that I think is completely different to cricket is like rugby is so cool, man. Like your friend, you look at Peter Steff in the last two games.
What a beast.
Unbelievable. Okay, like ridiculous. And how many tackles did he make? But he made up for someone there.
Yeah.
Like that's a team, right? Everyone playing together. Like Orance's tackle in that last moment, like just that one epic moment there just changes the whole game.
Yeah.
Where in cricket, you hit 1-6, yes, maybe if you face the last ball, you can change the game. But most of the time, it's so individual. And every other individual is carrying all that pressure you've mentioned in his own way on his shoulders.
Yeah.
And it's not an excuse for us not to perform well, but it's about finding ways to deal with that better. With like box, it was always like team first, and you get the guys like, just put everything you had. Cricket's not that type of game.
Yeah.
You can literally play yourself to the floor and give everything you have, sprint to every ball.
Yeah.
That is no guarantee of performance.
Yeah.
And
you get a Jaffa and it's like...
or bad decision.
Yeah.
Coming up, domestic cricket, get a bad decision because there's no DRS or whatever it is, and all of a sudden your career could look completely different.
Yeah.
I mean, and then also I'm a Christian, so I do believe like you have to have God on your side, and He has to open a few doors for you. Like for instance, my whole international career kicked off when Barry got an injury. I did well in the SA tour. I got an Ireland debut. I was not supposed to play the next Australian series. Maury got injured. I did okay in the Australian series, played the New Zealand series, got the Champions Trophy. So all of those things need to work out well. My debut for the Lions, Zander, I think, got injured, a calf injury. I got into the Lions team. So it's all of these like little small things that we don't necessarily always take into consideration, but you need a bit of luck along the way.
Absolutely. You talk about just your approach, and we talk about the rugby, a cover tackle, someone misses one, someone picks it up, and getting back to cricket, like you walk out, it's just you. You know, there's however many thousand people. There's Dwaine Pretorius walking out to the middle to take guard and face his first delivery. That's on you. And I always ask batsmen, like when they're walking out, what are you thinking? I mean, obviously the game situation dictates a lot. Like if there's 4 balls to go and you've got to try and smash to get the total or whatever it is. But what are you thinking generally when you go out? You're obviously looking at the field. You've been studying what the guy's been bowling, whatever it is. But what's going through your mind? Is there calmness? Is there butterflies? Is it like, are you someone who is like quite calm before you go out to bat?
I'm quite jittery before I go out to bat, and every time when a wicket falls like that, butterflies come in your stomach.
So that doesn't go away.
No. That's really nerve wracking.
Okay.
And especially maybe on a personal note, because I really feel like I've still not like with the bowling. I feel like I've got my boxes. Batting, you're always like searching, and I feel like I could be a much better batter than I am currently. So you're always searching, you're always looking for it. I'm a bit of a perfectionist. So when I'm walking out to bat, like it's like definitely looking at what the scenario is, and at least I've got that equation sorted out in my mind. Like, okay, how many boundaries do we need? How many dot balls? Try and break it down and simplify it. Because when you look at the scoreboard, sometimes it could be really overwhelming. You look at the bowler, you're like, okay, well, how am I going to do that against that? But at the end of the day, again, like just actually lying to yourself a bit. Like, say, okay, well, whoever's bowling, the scenario is this. I actually only need to score this many runs and this many boundaries. Okay, well, that's manageable.
Yeah.
Let's look at that. 10 runs and over. If you really think of it, it's no dots and maybe one boundary in between, and you're going at nines.
Yeah.
You need 1-6 or you need 1-2, and you're 10 runs and over. Okay, well, that's not
in theory, that's great. Yeah.
Too difficult. Let's try that. 15 is 2 boundaries and no dots. Have to have a 6 in there, maybe 1 wide or whatever it is, and you break it down. And then, well, this happened a bit later in my career, but wish it happened earlier. And just like lessons from like MS as well is like, so just remember, like the pressure is always a bit bigger on the bowler. Remember, I can hit a ball at 70% and it still goes for 6. That guy needs to execute 95% in the right spot, otherwise he's going for 6.
Yeah.
So the pressure on the bowler is normally bigger than on the batter. So that's definitely something that and then if you're playing for your career, if you're playing for the next team, or you're trying to make a World Cup team, that is the trickiest parts.
Yeah.
But the only way you can try and not worry about that is like just telling yourself like, well, again, just do me. And if they want me there, I'll be there. And I think that saved my career and made my career probably another 3 or 4 years longer in international cricket, having that type of mindset.
I think it's great advice to any young cricketers watching this, boys or girls starting their careers, or if they're maybe already professionals watching this. So, yeah, it's a stellar advice. Speaking of pressure, I imagine World Cup Champions Trophy is one thing, but IPL must be on another level when it comes to the intensity of the games, the crowd. Because recently I had a couple of mates go and watch Chennai, actually, and what struck them was that here when we have an SA20, the Betway SA20, you watch the game, but there's guys trying to catch the 2 million and there's beers going down and everyone's sort of having a good time. And they said what they noticed is that every spectator is focused on every single delivery. They don't move, they cheer, but it's all about the cricket happening in front of them. Is that what you found too, that like there was this intensity of the IPL?
Yeah, definitely. No, look, listen, those fans, they love the game, right? There's no alcohol there, so it's all about the game.
Yeah.
And all the passion comes from the love of the game. And being involved with CSK, you can see how they really, really like look up to Dwaine. And the noise that's in the stand when he goes out to bat. No, the intensity is ridiculous. It's really awesome. But I do believe that you can quickly get overawed by it and really lose yourself and lose the way you play. And I believe every game that I played in the IPL, I did it my way. And that was one thing I promised myself to do when going out there. And it's actually funny, like how the pressure just like actually then fades away.
Okay.
Because you've like done this so many times. The odds are this could work and I'm going to be actually performing well.
Yeah.
And you know what? If in my first season they took all the drop catches off my bowling, well, who knows? Maybe I'll be there again this year. But unfortunately, that didn't happen that way. But the way I played there, there was no regrets, and it was lovely. You could enjoy the moment because you're not worrying about who should I be. You know who you are. You know what you can do. And again, it's in the coach's hands.
Yeah.
You want me? This is what I can do. No, it's okay. It's nothing personal. I'm just not what you need. And that made me enjoy my, I don't know how many games, maybe 9 or 10 games that I played for CSK. What an experience. Just like traveling, the way they shut down the airports when you're traveling there. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's one of the best experiences in the world. And I really wish that most cricketers have an opportunity to do that, especially from South Africa, because it is really, really awesome. Just like the facilities you can train at, the amount of hands that are there to help you. It's one of the best experiences any cricketer can have, in my opinion. Definitely different to the SA20.
Yeah.
Because the SA20 is a whole package. Like,
what an
there you
event.
can't go out, right? So if you're a Chris Morris, there's no chance you're going to the mall just to grab something to eat. If you can't go to the malls, you're in a hotel for 10 weeks. And that's the part no one tells you. It's like, it's lekker in the game time and training
you're not
time.
Sightseeing.
No chance.
Yeah.
And that is really hard, and especially people don't prepare you for, okay, you're not maybe going to play all the games. Dealing with all that type of things and the amount of downtime. Everyone says, oh, what a great job. Like, you go there, you're like 10 weeks in a hotel, it's a paid holiday. Yeah, well, you get told 14 times that you're not good enough to make a team, and let's see how you're going to deal with it. Most people can't handle one word of criticism to what they do in a daily basis in South Africa. As a sportsman, you deal with that every day of your life, except if you're like one of the top 3 or 4 players in the country or in the world. But, I mean, at the end of the day, you need to be able to deal with that, and that is the toughest part when it comes to sport. And
then you add in social media. And what's your take on social media? I mean, obviously it plays its part. I have my sort of, and I've said it a number of times on the show, I have my times when I just need to just switch off an app or set a timer, and to avoid that sort of death scroll sort of thing where you feel like groggy when you come out of it. And sometimes I think it has a negative impact on people's mental health. And I think when you're on a level which you've been and are as a professional athlete, there's even more attention on you. And the keyboard warriors have a field day if you're having a bad day, and they very seldom come out and say what a good day Dwaine Pretorius had.
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, I try and put myself in their shoes most of the time. Like, I find it really easy then to actually relate to them as well. Like, let's take me as a player. Why should I be playing for South Africa? There's no real reason. I don't bowl 140, I bowl 130. I bat seldomly at the bottom, and when I do, the game's on the line, and it's a coin toss if you're going to be on top or not.
Yeah.
You look at it and you say, okay, well, there's maybe another 100 guys that could do what this guy does. And for him, he might know someone that he thinks will do a better job. Or for him, your talent isn't necessarily good enough. And seeing it in isolation, he's maybe right. But looking at it in a team environment, looking at the composition of a team as a squad, what is the other bowlers adding? What does this bowler add? If you look at a big picture, but I can't expect a guy sitting and watching the cricket that's a fan know what I know after a 12-year career. It's basically impossible. So for me, how I've dealt with it is like I've just don't look at any comments, because you're going to get the fans, you can get the guys that don't like you. And both of them are right. One guy likes you, there's a reason. One guy doesn't like you, there's a reason. Each person has their reason.
Yeah.
Again, like, it's not a personal attack, it's what they feel.
Yeah.
Okay? Doesn't necessarily mean you're a worse player. They might just not see the value of the niche that you have. Like, it's the same thing. Why do KFC isn't a person, but at the end of the day, you get KFC fans and Sias fans it's nothing personal.
Yeah.
It's about, listen, this guy loves cricket and we need them.
Yeah.
Without them and the fans out there, who's going to support us? Who's going to make sure that TV rights can get sold for billions of dollars? So at the end of the day, they have a place and they need to be there. It just shows their passion. If someone cares enough to take 5 minutes out of their day to actually lambaste you on social media, you know what? At the end of the day, they just care about the game, and we just need to take it in our stride. And it's part of the game. It's not necessarily always fun, but if you have a way to deal with it, then everything becomes less hectic.
Dwaine, T20 World Cup is around the corner. West Indies and the US, two places you know very well. What are you expecting? I mean, we know what the Caribbean offers, but the US is sort of dipping its toe into the cricket space at the moment. And we know how the US sports works. They tend to get stuff done. They do it bigger, better than most people. What are you expecting from this sort of World Cup, especially with drop-in pitches? I mean, you've played a few games out there. Just give me your thoughts.
Personally, I think everything in the American part of the World Cup will be very unpredictable. I don't think anyone will be able to predict how the conditions are going to play. But it can only go one or two ways. Either it could be bad or good.
Sure.
I do believe, like, the wickets that we're getting currently in the IPL will not be replicated at all.
The roads, you mean?
Yeah, basically you're taking the ball out of the game.
Like,
But like that won't happen. I think we'll see lower scores, and I think 160 and 170 will be the average score going into the World Cup. And I think the teams that I want to say have the most balanced teams will probably be the top four. But it's going to be interesting. I know there's a lot of support for cricket in America. They do have a very, very big Indian, what's the right word, population there. I do believe like that big game in New York will be supported quite well. It will really be interesting to see how the other teams get supported there. But the Caribbean, I think, is going to be a lot of fun. It's probably one of the best tours, one of the most beautiful places you can tour. So in terms of an off-field thing, I think the guys are going to have a lot of fun. But in terms of the conditions, it's going to be challenging. I think bowlers are going to love it. There will be a bit of swing. There's going to be a bit of nip. The bowlers will be in play. And I want to make a call to say, like, I think probably the team with the best bowling unit will probably get on top. And if you can get to 160, you're going to be competitive every game.
Because, I mean, you've enjoyed your time in the CPL. And I can see it brings a smile to your face talking about the Caribbean. But it is interesting because T20 has always favored batters. And that makes sense from an entertainment point of view because the crowds, the TV rights, they want to see sixes, boundaries. The bowler's margin for error gets even smaller. But I think with you, what you're saying now, having a little bit of seam, having a little bit of nip, just means that you can't just have batsmen bullying bowlers. They actually will have to work for their runs, and then it just balances out the contest. It makes it a contest, because at the moment the IPL is about whoever gets stuck in and makes the biggest totals, because it seems like there's not much stopping these guys from teeing off smaller fields, roads. That's why I think like having a World Cup where it's a bit more evenly balanced will be good for the overall product of cricket.
Yeah, definitely. And it's not just a career for batters. Otherwise, we could have put in bowling machines there and just like, okay, let's see who hits the most sixes.
Yeah.
But in terms of the bowlers, and like this World Cup's going to be really cool, because you get a lot of the lesser known nations that don't necessarily have the 145s and the 150s, but they're going to be in the game.
Yeah.
100%. You're going to see a few big upsets. Maybe a few big teams trying to go for 200 instead of 160, and that team bowling them out for 120, 130, and them chasing it. It's going to be a really good World Cup, and I wouldn't even be surprised if a few of the lesser nations make it into the last part of the World Cup. It's going to be super entertaining for me to watch, because there's a different way of playing that game. It's not just about whatever, let me just go for it.
Yeah,
you're gonna have to apply yourself. And that's one thing that I've realized in both of the CPLs that I've been involved with. It's like a really, really cool atmosphere, and there's always a party atmosphere with most of the grounds you play with. So it's going to be awesome. It's really, really going to be good cricket to watch.
I wanted to ask you, when you're sitting watching cricket on the couch at home, are you calling things because you can read the game, having played it at such a high level? Are you sort of, I think he needs to go wide here, or I would drop the sort of fine leg and make them, I'm just saying those sort of things. Are you calling it because a guy like Chris Morris, you sit there, and I was fortunate enough during the Betway SA20, sit next to him for a few games. He's like, watch here, this is going to, and I don't know if he's an oracle or whatever it is, but having played that and you're a student of the game, do you kind of see things unfolding before the general public like myself sees these things? I
would probably say yes, okay. But if you don't, you have to worry about yourself because you've been watching 12 years of cricket. And if you don't actually have an idea, and I think especially, I would say probably from a bowler's point of view, because you always have to try and think what the batter's going to do, right? So it's easier, I think, sometimes to call it from a bowler's point of view. But I think if you're a Rassie or a Quinton or a AB, they can get a feeling of what this guy's going to do with the field that he's setting up. So I think most players have to, because that gives you that 5 or 6% extra on top of him. And again, it's all about like those little percentages. How many can you get in your favor? If you got 70 and he's got 30, you're probably going to win the contest.
Yeah.
It's all about having those fine little margins. And I mean, I do sit there and I'm like, boys, like, how can you not see this guy can't do that line? His whole setup, his whole trigger, his power position when he's hitting, he can't hit wide. Why are you bowling wide? You can see this guy slicing it, going to his feet. He doesn't have the power.
Yeah.
Yes, you are, and especially when the Proteas play, because you're passionate about them.
Absolutely.
You want them to win. You're like, no, man, why are we doing this or that? And so you actually become your own little, what do you call it? That keyboard critic.
Yeah.
You don't.
But you're doing analysis
social,
because absolutely. Obviously, with our World Cup squad that was announced, it looks like a well-balanced team. And I think the point you made about a bowling unit, I think a guy like Shamo coming in on those types of conditions where I think like, and probably we're guilty of every time when we see a World Cup squad, South Africa, we're like, they can win it this year. And that's the general feeling I get. But looking at that balance of the team, we're really contenders, man. Just the skill set and the experience alone there, and what Rob's done, I just get the feeling like it's a really exciting space to be in at the moment.
Unbelievable. But what I've realized in terms of tournaments, you can have the best team on paper. If no one's on form,
Sure.
You're probably not going to do well. So from Rob's point of view, I think his biggest challenge is how does he get his players to play in the World Cup but be in form.
Yeah.
You look at all the World Cups past, the teams that have been in form and where their players have performed well, they've won.
Yeah.
So if you can get those players in form, man, that team can win anybody.
Yeah.
But in the same breath, our previous World Cup team that played the T20 World Cup in Australia, if we had guys in form and every game, we could have won that as well. The year before that in Dubai, if we had few guys in form in the first game, played against Australia, we would be in the quarterfinals, and who knows after that, we beat the the World Cup winning team in that tournament, the last game. So it's all about form. That's what I've realized. You look at Mumbai Indians now. Like, look at paper, you're like, whoa, this team needs to win it.
Rock stars.
How are they like, I don't know, 8th or 9th? But that's got nothing to do with the coach, really.
Yeah.
It's about, are my players coming into this tournament in form? And then the question is how, if they're not, how do I get them in form as quick as possible?
Yeah.
And that's the most tricky part, I think, about coaching. Bowling is my plan's good, and our bowling lineup is proper for those conditions. We've got nice balance. We've got Marco that's really good with the new ball. He's going to have some
He's
swing.
been incredible. I mean, he's just got better and better. And I mean, he's still a youngster.
Oh, he's a phenomenal player. He's really, really talented. And the conditions is going to suit him. There's a bit of bounce there. There's a bit of swing. And he's going to be one of the biggest threats going into the power play. And if we can hurt teams in the power play, that's where you put yourself in a winning position in the CPL. And then obviously having the 2 spinners in the squad is a good option. Sometimes day games, they tend to be a bit slower and lower.
Yeah.
KG is always a threat, and then you've got Anna that brings high pace. So it's going to be really good, and we've got other very strong backup bowlers as well. So it's going to be great. If you're looking at our top 5, top 6 players, most of them are currently in form, and my biggest hope is that they can just take that into the World Cup.
Yeah.
So Aiden not playing now and getting gremlins in his head in the IPL, I'm a super fan of that. Like, I don't mind that at all.
Okay.
Like, because I don't want him to score his runs there. I want him to score like 1,000 runs in the World Cup or 500, whatever he can score. We need guys in form leading into the World Cup, and then we'll compete. Quinny as well, I'm not worried about him. Great player, a big moment player. Look at him in the World Cup. His final one-day World Cup scored like, I don't know, 400,
Runs for fun.
whatever. Quinny is one of those guys, he can switch it on, and not everyone can do that. He can be from cold form to hot form like that. So not worried about them. Class has been world class. It's just about can he maintain that form.
Yeah.
It's been like ridiculous, and he's got it. I think he's got his check boxes, and he knows what he's all about.
Yeah.
But
we have to realize the way Classy plays, someone is going to have to step up 1 or 2 times to save the team, because Classy is going to take the game away.
Yeah.
That's his role. It's like I told you, like, shouldn't change the role. He should play his role, and then the other guy should fill in for him.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm really, really excited about the World Cup, because I really feel like it's going to be a serious contest, and there's no freebies in the CPL. There's no freebies.
Yeah.
Like, the worst team on the day can beat the best team.
Yeah.
CPL is, especially like in the Caribbean conditions, it's like so cool, man. It brings everyone in the game. It's really awesome.
I've got to ask you, it's probably better to have Quinny in your team than to play against Quinny, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I mean, Durban Super Giants, thank goodness.
Definitely. Me and Quinny always have a bit of a battle in the nets. He always tries to eat me, and at this stage, probably I think we're 50-50. I get him out because he tries to eat me so far. And sometimes that's a really, really big benefit, because guys just want to take me apart.
Yeah.
And then I've got a few plans, and then most of the time it works. But yeah, Quinny is great, man. And he's like good for the change room, because he's got his way of dealing with pressure, right? And it's not maybe anyone's cup of tea, but he just makes you feel more relaxed, because he's got his way, and his way is a very relaxed way. He plays the game. When he's over that white line, he's like competitive, but he shows you that, you know what, you can park it after that.
Yeah.
And then have something other, fishing, hunting, something that takes your mind from the game. And that's one thing that I've learned from him, and I've been fortunate to play a lot of cricket with him. And yeah, I can imagine just the pressure of expectation that he goes under every game.
Yeah.
Imagine it. When he goes out, me and you're thinking, yeah, it's today.
Yeah.
Today it's happening. Where, let's say, a player that's on the fringe, he doesn't necessarily have to deal with that pressure. He's like, oh, if this guy does well, great.
Yeah.
But not like, this is our gun. He needs to do great.
Yeah.
And Quinny is somehow find a way to deal with that pressure, and hopefully he can do it this World Cup again. And I expect a lot of things from Quinny, because of how I know him, and I think it's going to be a good one for him. That's what I want to say.
I really hope so, because he's just got so much talent and experience now, and he's one of the greatest to ever do it. Like, he really is. I'm going to ask you, we also look at the talent coming through. I mean, a Quina Mapaka, like a baptism of fire at 17, a Dewald Brevis. These kids are like just like they're meant for international cricket. If I feel like, what's your sort of take on these guys, because they're getting the opportunities, right? And I think it's good to get youngsters in the mix to learn and experience, but that also comes with a lot of pressure at the same time. And I know there's the old adage of if they're good enough, they're old enough. Do you share that sentiment?
To an extent, I believe. But I do believe the right way to do it is the Quinny and KG way. We all knew like Quinny is next level.
Yeah.
We all knew KG was next level. But in those, we had Hashim, Chalk, AB. Okay. So what that allowed was the system to put Quinny and KG in the Lions team for 2 or 3 years. You know what? Go find your way. Go find your little check boxes. You don't want to find that in international cricket.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you now, like what that poor guy had to go through in Parker again in the Mumbai Indian team. That like, you never know, eh? Like that takes a hell of a mentally strong person to come out of that and not have any scars.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been dominating wherever he's been going in his age groups, right? And now all of a sudden his whole world has crumbled and he said like, shit, maybe I'm not as good as I thought I was. Same with Brevi.
Yeah.
We had the same scenario with Vian Mulder coming up at the Lions. And we had like this team bri one day and I told him, listen, there's no question about it. You're going to play for South Africa. But can I tell you one thing? I really, really hope it doesn't happen within the next 2 years.
Oh, how did he take that?
No, he's like, okay, why?
Yeah.
And then I said, because inevitably when you get there, you're going to get that chance once or twice, okay? They might have a run, but you need to know what you're all about because dealing with the pressure that comes with that position is crazy.
Yeah.
You can just imagine a 20-year-old kid. What does he really know about life, like how things work? Like, it is crazy. When did Quinny make his like international debut? After playing 3 or 4 seasons for the Lions.
Yeah.
Learning from a Mackie, learning from a Zander de Bruin, KG, having a Mackie, chatting with him, Gordon Parsons, leading him in the way. And then, jeepers, Bessie got his opportunity within 6 months. And now when I chat to him, like tells me, you know what? Maybe I should have taken it a bit slower because now I'm ready. You look at Bessie now, my word, what a player. Like honestly, like I'm the most disappointed for him to not make that World Cup squad because what more did the guy have to do?
Sure.
Like, I don't even know what's his
He's
stats.
destroying,
If I had to guess, he's probably averaging above 35 at a strike rate of close to 150. He gives you a bowling option as an all-rounder. So for him now, he's ready now.
Yeah.
But it's taken him a while.
Yeah.
And it's taken him probably 2 or 3 years longer because he needed to get past all the other stuff.
Yeah.
But I just hope like they learn a lesson in terms of Mpaka and give him an opportunity to play franchise cricket and let him play the next 3 seasons every game.
Yeah.
Let him learn his game. Let him do well here. Let him gain that confidence. Let him gain the knowledge of how to deal with different types of pressure. And then you release him on the world.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, look at everyone that is... How many guys do you see that is like... Aiden Mockram. He had to like bide his time.
Yeah.
We knew like he was South African captain, World Cup guy. He bided his time. You know what I'm trying to say? And then he still like found it a bit tricky.
Yeah.
Like it took him a while to find Aiden's way.
Yeah.
Even though he dominated franchise cricket and like
Sauce.
what's it? The county cricket circuit, he dominated everything. But going there and then playing with all that pressure on your shoulders for South Africa is a completely different kettle of fish.
Dwaine, about to wrap up. What's next for you? Obviously, international cricket chapter's closed, but the circuit is still there. Are you looking to continue the white ball circuit and just experience as much cricket as possible?
Yeah, definitely, and try and apply my trade the way I do it for as long as possible. It is really, really awesome. It's definitely something that every young kid can aspire to do because it's really, really cool. You have a lot, like for instance, now if you are able to go into the circuit, like I spend a lot of time at home as well, especially now, you can set up your own whole program and tell your agent, like, listen, I'm available for these windows. Let's try and get jobs for those. These I want to be at home. So there's just a bit more life balance when you do it this way. But I do understand you can't just do it from when you're 20 or 22. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. Next up will probably be Sri Lanka or Canada, and then August will be CPL. and then SA20 next year, and then within that there's a few D10s and stuff like that. So yeah, it's really, really cool. Actually, sometimes I don't know what to do with myself now because with the IPL, there's no windows. There's nothing that competes with the IPL. And then you get the World Cup, which is also a long tournament. But it's been a good few months at home, and I'm really, really enjoying it.
I can see, like, you just seem so chilled in your skin at the moment. Are you enjoying your cricket more now than ever at the age of 35?
Yeah, definitely. Like and again, like you always, if you're young, you always want to be the best. And sometimes in your life, you realize I can't be maybe the best cricketer, but I can be the best version of myself.
Yeah.
So, and that's one thing that I want to leave here today and like tell all the youngsters out there. Not everyone can bowl 150 like I know or Gerald. Okay, and that's okay. But what can you do? And can you be the best at that? Because at the end of the day, that's the only thing you can do. You can be the best at what you do and with the talent that you've been given. And then you need to trust God that He'll open the right doors for you. Because my whole cricket career has been a testimony to opening the doors for me. And if I didn't do that, I promise, if I didn't listen to Bouch that day, my career would have been done in 2021. I would not be playing cricket currently. I'd probably be tired because I tried competing for the first few years in T20 cricket and I was a fill-in bowler and a finisher. Now I can actually bowl there. I would bowl maybe over 9 and 10 just because this is what I did. But yeah, just be the best that you can be. And there is no substitute for work ethic. I think if you are of a good talent, not a ridiculously great talent, you need to be able to work hard. Because hard work beats talent most of the time, especially if that guy's taking the talent for granted. And I think there's a lot of players in South Africa that just feel like they're not good enough. But you never know. If I had that mindset, growing up in Rustenburg, telling my mom I want to play for the Proteas, what's the chances of that? Like just Rustenburg of all places, growing up there, what's the chances of me playing for South Africa realistically? There's literally no chance.
Yeah.
Look, if a kid tells me now in Rustenburg, can you do it? I'll have to say, yes, you can, because I did it. And the way you do it is just by working hard and then trusting that things will go your way. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. There's a different plan in life. But you have to work hard. It's the biggest thing. And that's gotten me maybe in a few teams where like people really feel like this guy's professional. He goes the extra way or extra mile, even though he might not be the most talented. There is space in every team for that fighter type of guy that just never lays down.
Yeah.
And a lot of coaches are looking for that type of player also. Yes, they're looking for the Quinny. They might be looking for the guy that when the chips are down, he's actually been living this his whole life. The chips has always been down.
Yeah.
Like he's always been up against it. Can he compete and try and win a game from a no-win position? And if you can do that as a youngster, anything is possible. Really, really, I do believe that. I think I'm the epitome of that. So that's why I believe it can happen. Look at Maury, man.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure you had Maury on here and you listened to his story. And Maury just never gave up with the love of the game.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, someone saw him. God opened the door. The rest is history. Chris Morris is one of the best T20 cricketers ever. Probably, I have to argue, probably could have been one of the best test match all-rounders as well. But at the end of the day, he is that because he never gave up.
Yeah.
He never gave up. And now I started with Maury. He worked really hard.
Yeah.
Worked hours and hours with Gordy. But he just never gave up. And it wasn't for Gordy. Who would we know? Maury at the moment?
Yeah.
Don't think so.
Yeah.
Maury is one of my best mates, and we came up together, and without his leadership as well, like telling me, like, don't give up, just keep going, always being there when I failed or whatever. Like, he's a legend in my eyes.
I agree.
But for not giving up, because how many kids, I don't even know how old he was when he started playing for the Lions, so let's say maybe 24. How many kids would say, no, don't worry, I'm going to go study? And I probably would have been the same.
Yeah.
If I didn't do my knee before on the 19 World Cup, I'd probably just play cricket. Now I studied and I got my opportunities a bit later. So 23, 24, I only started playing for the Lions. And then you're in a better mental state. You know what you're all about. That's why I feel sorry for the young, talented players, because they're going to learn lessons hard, and I hope their support systems are strong enough to help them get through those tough times, because there could be a lot of them, especially if they get opportunities early.
Dwaine, that boy from Rustenburg played 60 times for South Africa. I mean, I'm sure you would have snapped someone's arm off for that.
Any
I told
day.
you that.
Just for 2, it's fine.
Congratulations, man, on a stellar international career and for inspiring us today, man. Your words have been profound. I love that you're able to be so honest and share with us your experience, and hope to see you playing for a couple more years on the white ball circuit.
No, thanks for having me on. Really appreciate it.
Thanks so much, and thanks for making time. Thanks very much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe. And of course, to our proud partners at Betway, remember to like, subscribe, comment on your favorite episode, and you could watch the Springboks in action this year. Don't miss out. Do it now. See you soon.